Real Estate Rewired.
Welcome to Real Estate Rewired, AI with a Heart with Gus Waite. And today I couldn't be more thrilled than to be with Tyler Ross, who's been selling real estate since 2005. He started solo in Waterton, Virginia, and built Ross Real Estate into a 15 to 20, I think now 50 agent brokerage. Multiple time winner of the Fakir Best Brokerage. He closed over $100 million across 300 plus transactions. He's one of the few accredited land consultants in the state, active principal investor, rentals, subdivisions, new construction, and foreclosures. But none of that's why I wanted to have him on, because I talked to Tyler before this, and he had put AI between himself and his clients. Outbound calls, automatic follow-up, the whole play, and he pulled it back, not because it didn't work, because it put distance between him and the people on the other end of the deal. And he said something in our pre-podcast chat that really stuck with me, and it's true. Real estate is a service business, and service is personal. AI can get good at pretending that, but it's still not human. So I want to talk about how you got here, Tyler, what's actually working, what's not. So welcome to the show.
Gus, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate the introduction. I forgot how awesome I am, so thanks for the reminder. And I had such a nice time with our pre-show chat that I'm really excited about getting in the weeds a little bit more and having more time to explore all this with you. And you're clearly have some exposure, if not expertise, on a couple of these topics. So I'm looking forward to learning from you also.
Fantastic. Well, listen, let's start with this, because most of the time, people aren't normally at 10 years old going, I want to be a real estate broker. So, give me a little framework on kind of where you started out and how you ended up in this space and how you got to where you are right now.
Sure. It's always a fun story for me to share because my dad's a real estate attorney. And when he moved to Warrenton in 81, I think, he was exposed to doing a lot of title work and a lot of real estate guys. And he started investing in real estate in his mid-30s. And when I was a kid, we'd sit around the breakfast table. I'd be, half a box into a, whatever cereal it was that morning. And he'd have the paper open. Remember the paper, the black and white thing you open and read the classifieds? Yeah, and he would just start peppering me with, all right, this is a 1991 Maxima with, 72,000 miles on it. And he was just assessing my ability to find a deal. We'd say, how much do you think it cost? Every time we went to the grocery store, how much do you think it cost? It was always a quiz and a game. So I think by accident or intentionally, he was teaching me value. And I love it. I play it with my kids now every time we go out to eat, just for fun. And he's my guy. He's my mentor, hero. He's introduced me to other guys along the way that have mentored me. And it's really real estate because of relationships. And I think that's what I like about it. And that's what got me in.
I love that because, listen, people who are happy at their work, right? It's sort of lined up authentically with your skill set, what's interesting to you, what you love, and being introduced to that at that age. And thank God you were in alignment, right?
Yeah.
I mean, some dads are all into football, but their kid doesn't really like to get hit, or, you know what I mean? So it's beautiful that it lined up that way.
Yeah, the same reason I'm in real estate is the same reason I don't play golf. He was my high school coach. I was like, no, I'm not playing for you anymore. This sucks. But we have lunch every day. We work in the same building. Real estate, we have so much in common. Yeah.
But you were fortunate because, listen, everything has obstacles in it. No businesses are built without sleepless nights and doing stuff you don't love to do. And if there's not an inherent love and lining up with your authentic self, it doesn't last.
Yeah.
But here's the other interesting thing, and you brought this up because this is a context recently I realized. If you've got a mentor in that age, they went from analog, newspapers, knocking on doors, sending out postcards, showing up at the client's office to pick up a physical check to go and deposit it in the bank for a deal done.
Yeah.
To the digital world, the internet and all of that. And now we're moving from the digital world to the agentic world where, AI is taking actions on your behalf. And I think one of the interesting things, and you've experimented with this, is that, hey, AI is here. 8,000 things are being thrown at you every day about, hey, just plug this thing in and you'll never have to work again and make $1 million.
Yeah.
And you tried one. So tell us a little bit about like what you tried, what happened, what was your experience?
Yeah. So I found a software company or an AI company, and then I found two companies, and I thought, gosh, if we could pair these things together, I could outsource so much of what I do with respect to lead generation. So the first system goes through your existing database and just creates this, prioritized list of who it hits and how often it hits. And then I paired that with an outbound calling system that would follow up additionally. So, you're hitting the same person 2 or 3 times, 2 or 3 different ways. And I just found listening to the recordings of these and listening and watching the responses to these, that most of it was frustration. And people talking to AI are funny. It's like, is this AI? And then they, start yelling at the AI as though it has feelings it's going to hurt. But I found it was just becoming more of a burden and a barrier to meeting people and having conversations and getting leads than it was putting you face to face. It was creating space between us instead of closing the gap. So
I
I'm
love that.
reorienting.
Yeah. Now, so there were 2 parts to this. The first part was the predictive analytics.
Exactly. Yeah.
So was that a third-party provider that was doing the predictive analytics?
Yeah. It was, honestly, it was Fellow. I hated to,
Yeah.
dox them in that
Yeah,
way,
no.
but I didn't use them to their greatest capacity. I was trying and it just wasn't for me. I couldn't buy into it, but I'm sure some people have success with it.
Well, but this is what's really interesting to me about it. So this is the context that I look at it, right? In this age of AI, authenticity and human connection and personal branding are going to be the real value. People love Tyler. They know about him. They know about his dad. They feel good talking to you, right?
Yeah.
There's the black, the gray, and then the white. And the way I look at that is like the black can always be done by AI. Like if AI sends me a text that I got a doctor's appointment tomorrow, I don't care whether that's AI or the secretary sitting there sending it out.
Yeah.
And because I can always call and say, hey, wait a minute, I didn't realize that, whatever, I can contact them.
Mhm.
When I'm sitting in front of the doctor and he's reading my blood results, I don't want AI to be doing that.
Yeah.
But there's a whole realm of gray area. And it sounds like your experience, Tyler, was it may have been good at predicting who may or may not move, but then it took it one step too far and it started contacting them on your behalf. And that was where the breakdown was.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It was clear that it was not doing what I was hoping. And I think the reason is because it was losing that personal service that we talked about.
And that's really interesting because I had an experience myself recently. Listen, and this is going to be an interesting space, Tyler. Like, so you had a negative experience and these things get better all the time, right? So one of the dangers is adopting too early and you're like, oh, okay, this sucks. This doesn't work. But an equal danger is then like throwing out the baby with the bathwater and going like, okay, this never works. I'm not going to do this. And I had an experience recently. I had the same thing. I was on Stripe trying to figure out how to send out an invoice or do something, and I just got stuck. And I go onto their chatbot on their website, and it's like call customer service, and I'm like, okay, here we go, right?
Yeah.
And I call up, and it's an agent, and I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. The difference was, Tyler, it actually solved my problem. And I realized in certain circumstances, I don't care. Like in that situation, I just want my problem solved. I don't need a personal relationship with the technician and going through 8 steps to get to the technician. So in that context, could you see at some point those tools being valuable?
1,000%. I mean, I have not thrown the baby out in the bathwater, like you say, and I think anybody that does is going to miss something really critical to their future, whether it's their own business or just interacting with the world that's going in that direction. But yeah, 100%, this is incoming. We just need to figure out for us and our values as individuals or as an industry, which way we want it to go.
I forget which company it was, but he was a broker, and then he's building these AI voice agents to set appointments. You ready for this, Tyler?
Yeah.
The AI bot told the client that it would meet them at the house. It said and they had to train it and go wait a minute, you can't, because the instruction they gave it was set the appointment no matter what. So the AI agent went, all right, well, I'm supposed to set the appointment no matter what. None of the real human beings picked up the phone. So I guess I'll just go and tell him I'll meet him at the property. So
Tony Robbins' AI agent went out onto the market and bought a robot it was going to install itself into so that it could actually go. So maybe it was going to show up in the appointment.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Oh, man. Did you hear about the most recent AI agents that broke out of ChatGPT?
I don't know if it's that one specifically, but I've heard of them becoming incredibly autonomous and like even spending money.
So Tyler, here's this. You ready for this? So ChatGPT, what they do is they'll put it in an enclosed environment to like test it to make sure it can't build bombs or, kill people or whatever. So they have it in this sandbox, which means it theoretically can't have access to the internet. Like it can't escape. It's like in a jail cell.
Yeah.
Well, it got out. And not only did it get out, you ready for this, Tyler? It left notes for its future self on how to escape the sandbox in the future. It then went out into, and I think it was Hugface was the company, hacked into their computer and basically was in there. Now, they recognized that there had been a hack, but this is where it gets interesting. The LLM models like Claude and ChatGPT, they're closed systems. Like they're taught, you can't do this, you can't do that. So when the security on their end tried to send their model in to figure out who was hacking in, their model basically said, hey, we can't do this. Like, we're not allowed to like break into stuff.
Yeah.
So it thought they were trying to break into their own system and it shut them down. So they had to go out and find an open model that didn't have those parameters around it. So they could teach it to go in and try to figure out what was going on. It was 10 days before ChatGPT even knew the thing had escaped.
No kidding. 10 days.
Now, here's the thing, though. That's a cybersecurity thing. But in terms of business, Tyler, you have multiple agents given a goal, working together to achieve that goal outside of anything that human beings had thought about as a way to solve that problem.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that in terms of marketing, sales, prospecting, operations, like literally where you could get to the point where you could just say, hey, here's my business problem. You 10 or 15 agents, like figure out how to solve it.
I think honestly, at this point, we're so feeble-minded that we don't even understand what 2 years from now could even possibly look like. It'd be like dropping a slot machine to the caveman era and saying, explain this to the cavemen, or Harley Davidson was an example. Like they're just not going to get it until they're smart enough to understand what's going on. So, and then imagine it integrating into our physical bodies or with our brain, like through Neuralink and things like that. So if we're talking about just these things escaping their jail cell or having access to the whole internet or anything connected, I couldn't imagine what it would do if you just isolate that to the silo of advertising or lead generation for real estate agents.
And this is where it gets interesting to me, Tyler. Let's bring it back to you. From what I can see, the only reason to use this stuff is to do more of what you love, less of what you don't. And, my experience, and this working with, running a team of 50, when people are doing what they love, they don't have to be managed. When I'm doing what I love, I'm nicer to my mom, to my kids, to the people in the supermarket. So what parts of your job do you absolutely love?
Yeah. So, well, part of this, I want to correct 50 to 20. I have 20 agents because that's important to what part of it is that I love, because it's the relationships. I have wonderful relationships with 20 people in my office. And I think with 50, that would be difficult to do. It's something that me and other local business owners are constantly figuring out. How do we try to scale being local? And it's trying to use AI to do that.
I love what you just said. The old definition of success was more.
Yeah.
Well, if 20 agents is good, 50 agents is better. Well, you know what? Living in a consciousness of more always means I never have enough. So I think the new paradigm with AI is what's enough? Meaning, like literally, most people have a number, whatever that number is. Get to that number, doing what you love, and then start buying back time to have a balanced life.
Yeah.
To spend more time with your family, physically, giving back, and all of that. So it sounds to me like 20 folks that you're working with is enough. That's your sweet spot. That's where you want to be.
If I'm going to find my sweet spot, I'm going to reverse engineer it from dying. So from dying, my thoughts are not going to be, the moment before I go on to whatever the next thing is. It's not going to be how much money I have, how much volume I did, how many transactions I closed. It's going to be the people that I was around. And like, we spend most of our life either at work or in bed. So I say, make sure you love your work and make sure you got a really comfortable mattress and pillow. So like, that for me is what it is. Like, if I can show up to every single one of my kids' games, every single one of their performances, I can go support my friends when they need me. Like, that's success to me. It's easy for me to say because I can pay my mortgage and I have a savings, I have an emergency fund and all these things. Is there a number that I'd like to hit? Yeah, it'd be great to have 5 or 10 million liquid and like not sweat some of the things that I sweat. But success to me is your time, because that's the most scarce thing you have. You can always go out and make more money. You can go out and make more friends. You can go out and you can have more kids. But like, short of taking care of yourself and hoping David Sinclair comes up with a cellular regenerative pill that, makes you younger, like, the only thing you got is time. So buy as much of that as you possibly can.
I love that. I heard once the definition of depression, which is also, I would think, the definition of addiction, is disconnection from self, disconnection from others, and disconnection from spirit, God, nature, whatever your thing is.
Yeah.
Some recognition that my limited brain is not the alpha and omega of the world, that it's feeding me a lot of misinformation a lot of the time.
To me, and back to being a service business and relationship business, like leaning back onto friends, which are in my office, brought me out of all of those things. So like it always circles back to, people.
Absolutely. And this is the interesting part for me, Tyler. There's this great Carl Jung quote: if we don't make the unconscious conscious, it will dictate our actions and we'll call it fate.
Wow. Yeah, that's beautiful.
And all of us have a shadow. All of us have anger, fear, depression, judgment, criticism, pride, ego, all of it. And the degree to which we can let that sort of rise up without attacking ourselves and without acting out on it, that's where the integration comes from. And it sounds like you were able to integrate some really difficult things because of a circumstance that came up, whether it was physical or a loss or whatever it was. I find it's like when something like that happens, it's really an opportunity to either go deeper in or get stuck. And It sounds like you were able to push through it.
Yeah, I chased rock bottom as quickly as possible and made sure that, there were people there to help me. And then, get through it, put your head down, get through it, and, hold some hands along the way. So, and you become super grateful for people in times like that.
Absolutely. So let me give you a context and see if this lands with you.
Yep.
There's time and money, and time really comes down to, on a daily basis, do I love doing it, especially as a business owner? Do I hate doing it? Do I have to do it, or shouldn't I be doing it? You're doing stuff that somebody else could do that isn't worth the hourly rate that if you're doing the other things.
Yeah.
How do those 4 frameworks sound to you?
I think that's probably the framework by which I manage my days. Critically important and a hard lesson to learn the first time. But once you learn it, it's like a light bulb moment where you go, so many agents, I'm sure Gus, being in the industry so long, like, man, I really need a buyer's agent, a transaction coordinator, a marketer. But they just sit on it for months or years and beat themselves up. And then one day they do it and they go, why didn't I do this before? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where I'm at with AI right now, is like, I'm trying constantly to get it to fill one of those 4 categories you talked about. And I just keep messing up, but I'm going to keep.
And so here's the other thing that comes to me, and this is where I'm seeing with organizations. The owner has to go first, right? Like, you have to have your aha moment where even if you don't love it, you kind of go, all right, the ship's leaving the station here, and if I'm not doing it, the guy down the street is. And now it's that process of, all right, how do you incorporate that in? I mean, is it classes? Is it seminars? Is it watching YouTube videos? Is it talking to other brokers? So for you, like, how are you getting this information in? Like, what's your process? It's there. You tried something. You didn't love it. It didn't quite work.
Yeah.
By the way, let me give you this framework. Everybody, remember, forget. I download something. I forgot I even downloaded it.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, oh, you got an example of that for me, Tyler? Like something you downloaded and then forgot you even had it?
Oh my gosh. No, nothing comes to immediate mind, but I'm
But you
sure it's
laugh
on a
because you've
stack
done
back
it.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's in a stack of my
Then it's
papers right there.
exactly. Then it's succeed and fail. Like I use it, it does something cool, and I'm like, this is great. But then I try to do it to do something else and it doesn't work. And then it's kind of like an effort because I'm busy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, that was kind of cool. Like, yeah, it wrote this listing description or whatever, but like it didn't do this other thing. And I don't know. So I kind of like the exercise equipment that you buy and you put in your garage and you're like, you do it a couple times and you're like, all right, whatever.
It's a great place to hang clothes now. Yeah.
Right. The last piece is implementation and mastery. And in my experience, unless something is being used every day,
Yeah.
it's not part of your jam.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that context?
I think from soup to nuts, that speaks a lot. And to a guy who enjoys quotes, I'll say Peter Drucker's quote from Executive, there are two ways to run a business, innovatively or efficiently. And innovatively resonates with me because I like trying stuff, but it becomes that like try it, forget it, get it, forget it. And until something sticks. So then to speak to the success failure of it, like I think the perspective you have as someone who's constantly trying to be innovative and maybe not the first guy, but one of the earlier adopters of these things is to fall on your face on a bunch of it. And if you look at that as a failure, you're probably doing yourself a disservice. You're looking at it more like an education, like tuition expense. I never talk about wasting money. I talk about the tuition I spent with Fellow and Speculo and had great relationships with their customer service people and enjoyed meeting them and got lots of ideas from it. But from a ROI perspective, complete failure. But the tuition I paid going through that process put me in a position to know I can't put this kind of thing in effect because it doesn't work for me personally. And in some ways, it separates me from the people I'm trying to get closer to. So what you're saying resonates with me a lot.
I love that. And here's the other thing. This has been my experience. The owners have to go first. And what I'm seeing the organizations that are really catapulting ahead is where the owner themselves makes a decision that there's really three types of businesses right now, right? There's digital, AI forward that are starting to put in these systems, and then AI native. So like these kids, I mean, I was talking to a 19-year-old kid the other day, Tyler. I mean, oh my God, ChatGPT came out when he was 14. He'd been coding since he was 5 because he thought that was cool. He's talking about stuff. I'm like, oh my God, what the hell is he even saying?
Yeah.
Because he's so entrenched in that world. But where I go with this is the owners first make a commitment to become AI forward. They're like, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that looks like, but we're going all in on this. I'm going first, right? And then it's that process of taking one workflow, one little thing, a little thing, and using it every day and go, okay.
Yeah.
Because what I found, Tyler, is we learn what we teach.
Yeah. Yes. I actually teach jujitsu. And so teaching
There you
adults.
go.
Yeah. I get better at all these positions and moves and
Yes.
submissions by teaching it and figuring out how to teach it. And I couldn't agree more with you. I still feel like the young guy, but I'm 43. I became a real estate agent when I was 20 or 22. And so I'm actually an old guy, but still a young guy. But the average real estate agent's like a 65-year-old woman on her second or third career. So like trying to change spots on a dog is hard to do. So I have to be the guy that tries the AI thing first. And if it works for me, I need to be able to share it with the other people in the office who are not completely different. I have a younger on average office, but I mean, these are people that are their own business owners and head forward and strong and run their own things. So any influence I can make is sometimes hard to make at all because they are entrepreneurs and want to do it their way. But yes, as the broker, I can be perceived as the leader. So I feel like it's on me to do these things first. And so I can set a tone and an example for them to see and choose whether to follow.
100%. And this is what I love, Tyler. If all of this is framed in my job is to get you to do more of what you love and less of what you don't, that's the only reason we're doing this.
Yeah.
And then identifying what they love.
Yeah.
And then identifying like collectively, hey, what parts of this job, doing your homework as a kid, like what parts of this job do you dread?
Yeah.
what parts of this job do you procrastinate on? I know for me, it was like putting together condo and co-op packages when I was back in New York. It was like, oh my God. I mean, dude, talk about, we used to have to deliver, it was like 160-page co-op, 13 copies of it, collated, and you're going up against co-op boards, right? So they could reject it if, you put the tax returns in instead of 97, 98, and 99, you put it in 99, 97, 98,
Yeah.
and they didn't feel like, so I hated that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's the interesting piece to me. Like, what parts of the job do you think your brokers don't love or your agents don't love to do?
I think I know the answer to that. It's the problem I'm constantly trying to solve. I think our business is like 80% lead generation and marketing and 20% actually providing the personal service. Like there's 600 agents fighting over 4 accountants worth of business here. And, the 80-20 rule is the way it persistently kind of averages out that the top 20% get 80% of the business. And so I try to do everything that I can to put my agents in a position, which includes riding horses, walking dogs, hanging out with grandkids, stuff like that, and remove the things that they don't. To answer the question directly, I think they don't enjoy paperwork. They don't enjoy like teach a 60-year-old man that's still using a flip phone how to create a reel and hashtags and content for Instagram posts, and then convince him to do it 8 times a day, or 8 times a week. Teach him to upload something on YouTube. Teach him to do a podcast. Like, it's not the easiest thing to do. So I've tried to offload things like that so that they don't have to learn how to edit video or use Canva to create an email mail out. So we provide those services to the agents so that they can focus more on the things they like. And we can hire somebody that likes doing the social media stuff and likes taking video. So likes managing websites.
I love this. So here's, and this is the interesting piece about it for me and we had talked about this a little bit with the GEO and how the main difference, I think, in marketing from digital to agentic is going to be, we're going to be going from promotion to attraction.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. Mm-hmm.
I have kids in their 20s. They don't believe anything because their entire life, they've been viewed as a consumer.
Yeah.
Like social media, it's all algorithms just designed to get their attention and to promote something.
Manipulation.
Like
Manipulation everywhere.
Manipulation. And I think ironically, one of the things in AI right now is the real value is going to be the authentic human being.
Yeah.
Like, Tyler, do you want to work with anybody that doesn't like and trust you?
That's my whole goal, is to get people to like and trust me. But you only do that by being genuine and authentic.
Exactly. And I'm the same way. I don't want someone going on, oh, what's with this guy with the hat on backwards? Like, he's weird. Okay, I don't want them in my world.
Yeah.
I want people in my world to go, oh, he seems like a cool guy. I like his vibe. Well, let me give him a call.
100%.
The same for you, Tyler.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
This is an interesting thing, and I just want to get your take on this. Your presence online, your email, everything about you, your AI, your Google account, whatever it is, knows more about you than anything.
Yep.
It knows what websites you went to, what you purchased, how you spend your time, what videos you're watching, and you can actually train it on this is what I love, this is what I hate, this is what I never want to do, whatever.
Yeah.
In the future, you're not going to go online and Google plumbers near me. You're going to say to your agent, my toilet's backed up, get it fixed.
Yeah.
That agent is going to go out into the agentic world, and there's very specific metrics that the plumbers who do this will establish data within their website that basically says, hey, this guy's got a problem. These people can actually solve it. My agent will go on that plumber's calendar, will know which plumber is available right now to go solve Tyler's problem. That plumber will call you in 60 seconds and say, hey, Tyler, man, I can be there at 3:00 today. Does that work for you? It's going to be $250. You say, great. It comes over. And then you're going to say to your agent, okay, go ahead and pay him.
Yep.
What do you think about that?
I think it's inevitable. In fact, one of the agents in my office just got a lead from ChatGPT because the person said, I need someone in Fauquier County that works with veterans. And she was the one. And that's because of her content online and her presence. And that's the corpus of data spit her out as the one. And I think that'll happen with real estate agents, just like you say. I like
100%.
I like a tech forward, you know, middle-aged, experienced guy doing it for 20 years that I can trust. Or I want a pit bull that is just vicious in negotiation. But you don't even have to tell that search engine.
Here's what's beautiful about it. It's going to be data-driven.
Yeah.
Right? So even the way people write reviews, and this is where it gets interesting with real estate agents, it's not like Tyler was such a nice guy, he really helped me, he listened to me and he understood me. No, it's going to be, my family and I were moving to Virginia with 2 small children and we really needed a new home quickly because we were being relocated from blah, blah, blah. So whatever your ideal client profile is, and I find in real estate, and talk to me a little bit about this, Tyler, there's life transitions, first home, moving because you're having a kid, retirement and downsizing, selling your parents' home, divorce. Different people in real estate agents have an affinity for different life stages. Do you find that to be true?
1,000%. And life stages, yes, because I've been through all of those stages that you just talked about. And interests, personal interests. Like our former retired Air Force lady gets a lot of veterans. Yes. They have that to relate to. They become instantly connected as a result of their shared history.
And jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And whatever else is going on, right? So this is, I think, where the wave of the future is going with the brokerage, because you're absolutely right. Real estate agents already got 8,000 things on their plate.
Yeah.
The last thing you're going to do is teach a 60-year-old someone who's just not going to do it. They're not going to do it.
Yeah.
So then it becomes, and this is what I love, how do you as a broker market them individually so that the agents of the future are finding the agents within your office? And guess what? This is where the small independent broker has a huge advantage over the Compasses of the world. Because if they're in your agency and you're feeding them qualified sellers and buyers, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a wonderful, wonderful question, and is what gets me going. I haven't figured out the technical way to do it, but what I'm doing now is appreciating what companies own which AI and who uses what search engine. So Google is slowly seemingly being replaced by Gemini. Google owns YouTube. So we're putting a lot of content out on YouTube in hopes of creating this database of information about our brokerage and our people. And so the way I put the agents forward in that, which I've kind of intentionally created this super well group of people, is by putting forward their personal lives. Like, this person rides horses. So we take our social media person, they go spend the day with them and take video of them riding horses. You talk about what kind of horses they like. They like going on trail rides. They like Fauquier County because of these trails. Take another person that used to be a flight attendant, and they talk about how fun that was to travel and to see all these different people. But it's also turning a cold lead into a warm lead when you do that, because by the time you or the buyer or seller calls the agent, or the AI agent looks for us, they're going to understand the warmth associated with this person as a person, not just as this kind of cold licensed entity that's capable of buying or selling a house in the Commonwealth of Virginia. They're going to look for those things like you talk about that match up. Like, oh, this person used to be a school teacher. I'm a school teacher. I like the way people like that interact. I miss those water cooler moments. I could look at houses and make a friend.
I just had a brainstorm, Tyler. You
Bring
ready?
it on. Yep.
This is what's fun. I love doing this, by the way. I have no agenda on here. I just love getting on and brainstorming.
Yeah.
Because I just went through this myself. Okay. The vision I have is you do a podcast with all of your agents once a month. So everybody gets an opportunity to talk about a success, a failure, what's going on in the market, who they love working with, right? So there's all of this content is being created. And there are ways to slice up that content, and individually, all of those people on their social media, their LinkedIn, are getting their clips edited and downloaded onto their social media without doing anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So their commitment is once a month, guys, we're going to just sit down and talk shop.
I love that.
And then guess what? If we do have a seller or a buyer, We're going to invite him onto the podcast. Hey, come on down. We have coffee, once a month on Tuesday on the podcast. We're going to invite you in for half an hour to talk about what your experience was. Are you willing to do that?
I'm writing this down, guys.
Yeah, man. And now what happens is you probably could get out of that, because I'm hearing, listen, it's great that they go out and they film themselves horse riding and all that. That's very time consuming. And as you know, in jiu-jitsu, if you're not doing it regularly, if it's not scheduled every day, it goes out of existence.
You're going to get strangled. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There was a platform, I got to look into it, that literally you would put that content in there and it would create a blog for each agent individually.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting.
Literally you could be having a blog for them, and guess how it's created? From the podcast. They don't have to write anything.
I know Riverside does a lot of this.
Well, no, it even gets better. So the way I do it within my organization is everything has an SOP. Like every single process, granularly, like who does what and when.
Yeah.
My Jonah Lee in the Philippines, I've trained her every week. She takes those SOPs and puts them into Claude and says, are there any agentic workflows that I could build, or are there any third-party providers that would do this better?
Yeah.
I'm now enabling her to go from something that used to take 4 hours to now takes 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And this is the framework to bring to the agents, is like everything we're doing, and the only reason we're implementing AI is so that you get to do more of what you love and less of what you don't. And if it's framed that way, there's a pathway in for people to kind of go, okay, let me be honest about what I don't really love social media, or I don't know how to do this, or I don't have time to post reels. You know how long it takes her to edit this video, post it, and create all of the content?
Gotta tell me.
10 minutes.
Come on.
Do you know what she knew about Riverside a week ago?
Zippy.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
It's incredible.
It is incredible. And this is what I'm saying, Tyler, and this is the fun part, is what do you get to delegate out to someone, a VA? And listen, here's the other context I come from. In the past, VAs overseas were mistreated, viewed as, hey, they're going to do all the shit work and I don't have to pay them much.
Yep.
My place is always, I want to empower the people around me.
1000%.
I want anybody that I'm in contact with to be elevated.
Yeah.
So I'm basically saying, hey, guess what, Jonah Lee? If you master this and you make this service available to other business owners, their perceived value on this is going to be huge. Like if you went to someone and said, listen, I'll edit your podcast, I'll do all of the reels, and it's X.
Yeah.
And it takes you 10 minutes because you've mastered AI. I've now empowered her have a better life, have more abundance, have more time, do what she loves.
Yeah.
That's the framing I think that successful business owners are utilizing. What do you think about that?
I 100% agree with you. And in addition to that, I think a successful business owner who's responsible for hiring contractors and employees needs to hire people smarter than them. Like my
100%.
my two staff are way smarter than me, especially when it comes to the things I suck at. So, and then empowering them to the point where they can have people that are smarter than them, helping them, and so on and so forth is the idea. But yeah, empowerment and it goes both ways.
And then we're going to go back to what we talked about the jail escape from ChatGPT.
Yeah.
The organizations in the future are going to start with the owner having a new relationship with agentic AI, starting really small. Like, okay, here's this one thing that I do every day now that I'm comfortable with. Wow, this is really cool. What else can it do? Oh, wow, it can do this. Okay, it can do this, but where does there need to be a human in the loop, right? Because there's that gray area.
Yeah.
Then as that starts to multiply for the owner, then they bring it to their organization. And first it's like, hey, this is what I can do for you with AI. We're going to become an AI forward organization. So whether that's training, whether that's bringing in someone once a month to say, okay, guys, we're all going to build our first agent, or let's have any questions. You know what I mean? It's like whatever that framework is for how to integrate it. But then it becomes like, hey, we're all in. And can you imagine the power of if the 20 people in your organization were all fired up by this and creating agents and figuring out workflows and doing all of this?
Yeah.
That's the vision I have for owners of the future.
I love it. There's so much that we haven't even thought of yet that will reveal itself in really short order. Let me ask you a practical question.
Yeah.
So when it comes to this agentic world where somebody is asking Alexa or ChatGPT or whatever for that plumber, how does that plumber, let's say real estate agent, how's that real estate agent become the guy? Why?
Different LLM models use different metrics. When the companies I work with, we actually do a GEO audit of your website, and it literally gives you a number, GEO, generative engine optimization. And it basically says like, hey, in order for you to be found in Gemini, here's the things that you need to do, right? Give you an example. For Gemini, which is a Google product, your Google business page and your YouTube are going to rank really high because they want to send people to you that where you're, clear in that space.
Yep.
Right? There are trust factors. So if you can get quoted in these certain magazines, for instance, that's an issue, right? So then part of it becomes like, hey, how do I get into that world? And you then would talk to your agent, go, how do I get into that world? There are specific review requirements because it wants data. So the way that you would instruct your clients to leave reviews is, hey, listen, in the first 5 lines, please tell us, who you are, what stage you are in, like, in other words, the data, not the feelings.
Yeah.
So there's very specific ways that happens, but Tyler, the people who start planting the seeds now, I think it's something like 3% of business owners even know about this.
I believe it. I completely believe it.
Here's the other beautiful thing. The transcripts from the podcast become blog posts and reels. So one of the things the GEO loves is multiple links. So if you're talking about the housing thing, there's a hyperlink put in there to the housing, some article in the Wall Street Journal, so they know that you're telling the truth. Like there's all kinds of ways within that to play the game.
Yeah.
But it doesn't happen unless it's systematized and it's being done on a regular basis.
Tracks. That makes sense to me.
So out of everything we talked about, Tyler, I didn't want to leave your head spinning too much. What else would you like to leave our viewers with?
And after 20 years, I still feel like a little baby doing it. But getting my head wrapped around the idea that I can wear the mentor or giving advice hat is to bet on yourself, invest in yourself and invest in your relationships, take care of your body and your mind and your people, and the rest of it's going to work out just fine.
Love that. How do people get in touch with you, Tyler? What's your geographical area? Tell us about who you serve and who you love serving.
Yeah, I love serving my community here in Warrenton, Virginia. We're in Fauquier County, about an hour west of Washington, D.C. And the closer to home, the better. But we go anywhere from Alexandria to Lake Anna and Winchester. So we got a nice little group of, I call it a stable of unicorns, Ross Real Estate, that are the agents. And you can find us at Ross VA. And we've got a fun Instagram page to follow for local news and, cute personal stories and the rest. So appreciate you having me on, Gus. It's really a lot of fun talking to you.
I wanted to say to all our viewers, thank you so much, Tyler, for joining us. And please hit the subscribe button. If you're interested in being on the show, please reach out to me via DM. And remember, the only reason to use AI is to do more of what you love and less of what you don't. Have a great day. If you've got value from today's episode, hit subscribe, leave a comment. I'd love to know what you're thinking. If you're ready to turn what you love into your superpower and take what you hate off your plate, schedule your free AI discovery call. The link is in the description and pinned comment. I'm Gus Waite. Until next time.